Alicia steps out of the building, her heels clicking on the concrete, each step deliberate and confident. She's dressed sharply, as always, a well-fitted blazer, her hair tucked back in a neat bun, a tote bag slung over her shoulder. The morning air is crisp, the kind that makes everything feel just a little more tense, like something waiting to happen. Her eyes remain forward, unaffected by the world around her. Across the parking lot, Officer Cole watches her from his patrol car. The engine hums softly, but it's his gaze that's louder than anything. He watches the way she walks, too sure of herself, too composed. His eyes narrow, following her every movement as she approaches her car. Alicia reaches for the door handle, just as his voice cuts through the air, sharp and unwelcome. "Officer Cole, excuse me, ma'am. Can I see your ID?" She doesn't flinch, doesn't even pause in her movements. She just turns to face him, her eyes cool, her posture unshaken. "Alicia, what's the problem, officer?" A small beat of silence. His gaze hardens. There's something about her, a quiet confidence, an assurance that feels out of place to him. Her calmness, the way she doesn't automatically shrink away from his authority, unsettles him. She's not the type he's used to seeing, not the type he expects. "Officer Cole, you've been here too long. I'm asking for ID. Now." The tension hangs thick between them. Alicia doesn't blink, doesn't show any sign of hesitation. She reaches for her purse with steady hands, the fabric of her blouse rustling softly in the silence. Her eyes lock with his as she opens her bag. There's a moment where the weight of his assumptions feels almost tangible, as if it could crush her right there. But she's not backing down. Her hand brushes over something in her bag. Then she pulls out her ID, but something else catches his attention. A photo tucked into the side of her wallet, barely visible. Officer Cole, under his breath, "Wait, who are you?" Alicia pauses for just a second before looking up at him. Her gaze is steady, unwavering. "Alicia, you'll want to call for backup." Her voice is soft, but it lands with the weight of a hammer striking cold steel. The words hang in the air, unspoken but heavy, shifting the ground beneath his feet. Alicia stands still, the world around her muffled, as Officer Cole steps closer, his boots heavy against the concrete. His shadow stretches long, almost like a warning. The air is thick now, charged with unspoken expectations, but Alicia remains untouched by it. She doesn't move an inch. Her posture is as solid as the ground beneath her, steady, unyielding. Her eyes never leave his, and in that stillness, a quiet power hums just beneath the surface. "Officer Cole, I asked you for your ID. You think you're above the law?" His voice cracks slightly, frustration building as Alicia doesn't budge. He's used to people shrinking, people apologizing, but not her. "Alicia, I'm not above the law, officer, but you are not above respect." She doesn't raise her voice. There's no drama in her words. It's the quiet truth that makes his stomach churn. "Officer Cole, you think I have time for this? You think you're the first person I've dealt with today." He leans in, trying to intimidate her with his proximity, but Alicia stands her ground. She doesn't step back, doesn't even flinch. "Alicia, I think you're wasting your time." The words hang in the air between them. Alicia's eyes don't waver. They remain steady calm, as if she knows something he doesn't. He doesn't understand yet. She's not going to be pushed. He can shout, he can demand, but it doesn't matter. His hands tremble slightly as they hover near his belt, his mind racing to regain control. He's used to power, to holding it in his hands like a weapon. But here, in this moment, it slips through his fingers. Alicia holds her space, a quiet rebellion against the very force he represents. The silence stretches. The power shifts. Alicia isn't just standing there. She's making a statement, one that doesn't need to be spoken loudly, because the weight of her dignity speaks louder than any words could. "Officer Cole," softly, "who do you think you are?" Alicia's lips don't move, but the message is clear in her gaze. She knows who she is. Officer Cole steps forward, his boots scraping the pavement, the sound loud in the quiet tension of the parking lot. He's a large figure, his uniform pressed tight against his broad shoulders, but there's something in his movement now, a slight hesitation. He's used to having power. He's used to people backing down. But Alicia stands still, unshaken, her eyes fixed on his, calm but piercing. "Officer Cole, I asked for your ID. Now." Alicia doesn't flinch. She doesn't move, doesn't even acknowledge his aggression. There's a weight in her stillness, something heavier than any shout could carry. Her silence is the power, the quiet refusal to be intimidated. It's that stillness, the way she doesn't even blink, that unnerves him. He steps closer, his body now blocking her car, his eyes narrowing as he towers over her. He expects her to cower, to apologize, to shrink in the face of his authority. But Alicia simply stands, a small breath escaping her lips. It's almost as if she's seen this before. Men like him, with their misplaced power, their threats. He doesn't know it, but she's already won. "Officer Cole, you think you can just stand here, ignoring me?" There's a slight tremor in his voice now, something cracking in the smooth, authoritarian tone he tries to maintain. Alicia's presence is breaking through it, and he doesn't know how to fight it. The bystanders watch in uncomfortable silence, their eyes flicking back and forth. No one dares to step in, but Alicia knows they're all watching. They see it too, the imbalance, the way he's trying to assert control, but can't. Alicia's voice is soft, but it rings to the air like a bell. "Alicia, you've already wasted enough of my time, officer." Her words aren't an attack. They're not even a defense. They're a statement of truth, a gentle reminder that she won't play by his rules. The silence that follows is heavy, each second stretching longer than it should. And in that silence, the shift happens. Officer Cole's authority is no longer his to command. Alicia opens her purse slowly, deliberately. The soft rustling of the fabric fills the silence. But there's something heavier in the air now. Officer Cole watches every movement, his eyes fixed on her hands. She reaches in, pulling out her wallet, and the slight shift in her posture catches his attention. A photo, tucked near the front, slides slightly out of place as she moves her wallet open. The picture is small, but clear. Alicia Harper. Cole's eyes flicker to the photo, then to her face. There's a subtle shift in his expression, but it's barely noticeable. A pause. He's trying to place it. Her name. It feels wrong, familiar in some way, yet distant. His hand lingers near his belt, fingers tightening, but it's not the usual sure grip of authority. "Officer Cole," gruff, almost himself. "Alicia Harper." Alicia doesn't look up at him. She doesn't need to. She's aware of what's happening, but she stays composed. This moment, it's not new to her. It's a quiet revelation in the middle of his control, a flicker of recognition that starts to unravel his confidence. His jaw tightens, and for the first time, his eyes waver, just a split second. Something is unsettling him now. He knows her name, but he can't place where from. The recognition gnaws at him, like a riddle left unanswered, leaving him off balance. He shifts on his feet. Officer Cole moored himself, confused. Who? Who are you, really?" The words barely form, a slip of doubt hanging in the air. He's used to certainty. He's used to having the upper hand. But Alicia's stillness, her poise, and now the unfamiliarity of her name, the subtle power it gives her, starts to challenge everything he thought he knew. The shift in energy is imperceptible but strong. Alicia is no longer just a woman on the street. She is something more, and the weight of that realization hangs in the air between them. Alicia's voice breaks the moment, soft, measured. "Alicia, you want to call for backup, don't you?" Her words are steady, unfazed. She knows exactly what this moment means. She's seen it before. The sudden shift in power, quiet and unrelenting. Alicia stands perfectly still, her eyes unwavering as she locks onto Officer Cole's. The tension between them is thick, heavy, like the air before a storm. She doesn't blink, doesn't flinch. She simply holds her ground, her body language firm and controlled. Officer Cole shifts slightly, his hands twitching by his side, unsure whether to reach for his radio or continue his interrogation. His gaze falters, just for a moment. He's used to the power he wields, the control he has over people, especially in moments like this. But Alicia isn't like the others. She doesn't back down. Officer Cole, impatient. "I said, I need your ID now." "Alicia, Quietly, you want to call for backup. The words fall between them, brief but weighty. Alicia's voice is calm, measured, not an ounce of fear or aggression in it. There's nothing in her posture to suggest she's intimidated. Only a calm defiance, a challenge that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. The simple sentence, almost casual, cuts through the air like a sharp knife. Officer Cole's eyes widen slightly. His body stiffens, and for the first time, his confidence seems to crack. The authority he thought he held so firmly begins to slip, and he doesn't know how to recover. The weight of her calmness presses in on him, and his previous self-assurance evaporates in the presence of her steady gaze. He looks around quickly, as if searching for support, but there's nothing but silence. The bystanders, too, are waiting, watching the shift unfold. Officer Cole, voice shaking slightly. I don't know who you think you are, but... Alicia cut him off, her voice still controlled. I'm not the person you think I am. Her words hang in the air, unspoken power filling the space between them. In a split second, everything shifts. The officer, once the authority, now feels the weight of her presence. A quiet rebellion, a slow unraveling of his assumed control. Alicia stands there, unbothered, holding the truth of her identity in a silence that speaks louder than anything else. Officer Cole sits in his car, the engine idling softly as he flips through a report. A memory begins to stir. He's back in his early years on the force, younger, eager to prove himself. The faint sound of dispatcher crackles through the radio, but it fades into the background of his thoughts. A flashback. It's late at night. He's on patrol in a neighborhood known for its high crime rate. A black man walks across the street. Officer Cole's eyes narrow. He doesn't need to think twice. Officer Cole Young, stop right there. The man freezes, his face a mix of confusion and caution. He doesn't respond right away. Just standing there, hands in his pockets. Cole walks up to him, towering. Officer Cole, Young, you got something to hide? The man shakes his head, but before he can speak, Cole pulls out his cuffs. Officer Cole, Young, hand behind your back. The man protests, but there's no chance. Cole's hand is firm, his authority absolute. He doesn't even notice the small crowd gathering, the murmurs behind him, the uncomfortable stares. To him, this is just another call, a routine. The flashback shifts to another incident, a woman's complaint about racial profiling. Cole listens to her, nodding with the same expression he always wears. But the moment she mentions race, his face changes. Officer Cole, Young, we're just doing our job. People like you don't understand. Her voice shakes, but Cole's conviction is unyielding. It's a dismissal more than a response. As the memory fades, Cole blinks back into the present, his eyes staring ahead blankly. He's alone in the car now, his grip tightening on the steering wheel. The past is always there, lingering, like a shadow he doesn't know how to escape. The seed of systemic racism has taken root in him, buried under the layers of law and order. It's a belief he's carried with him, unquestioned, unchallenged until now. Alicia stands in front of the classroom, her chalk against the board, her hand steady despite the weight of the unspoken tension hanging in the room. The students sit in silence, their eyes on her, but Alicia's mind drifts. The classroom fades, and we are taken back to the first year she walked into a school like this. Young, full of ambition, yet acutely aware of the barriers stacked against her. Flashback, a different classroom, years earlier, a younger Alicia, freshly hired, steps into the room. Her heart beats faster, but she doesn't let it show. She smiles as she introduces herself to the class, but there's a quick glance, the way some of the other teachers look at her, like she doesn't belong. It's subtle but sharp enough for Alicia to feel. A glance, a judgment, a quiet disapproval. She's different. She knows it. Alicia, Young, I'm here to teach, and I'll do it well. But the undercurrent is there. The subtle microaggressions she'll face every day. The way some colleagues give her the cold shoulder. The way her ideas are dismissed without consideration. The way she has to fight for every ounce of respect. Flashback fades. Alicia takes a breath, her hand still gripping the chalk. Her students are looking at her expectantly, but the weight of those years of pushing, fighting, never being enough, hangs heavily on her shoulders. They don't know. They don't see the night she lay awake, her mind racing, questioning her worth. They don't know how many times she had to swallow her pride, how many moments she chose silence over confrontation, all to keep her job, to keep her dignity intact. Alicia's inner voice thought, I've been here before. I've fought before, and I'll keep fighting, because that's all I can do. She breathes again, the quiet strength filling her chest. Her students are still watching, and this time, she lets the calm exterior speak for the strength within. The tension in the parking lot thickens as Alicia and Officer Cole stand locked in their silent standoff. Officer Cole's jaw clenches tighter, his stance more rigid, but Alicia remains unshaken. Her calmness in the face of his aggression is like a mirror, reflecting back at him all the authority he thinks he commands. But around them, the silent witnesses begin to shift. A small group of bystanders have gathered at a distance, their eyes flicking nervously from Alicia to Officer Cole, unsure of how to react. There's an unspoken, unsettling energy in the air. One by one, the whispers start. They don't interrupt. They don't interfere. But they watch, and in their silence, they contribute to a growing unease. Bystander 1, whispering to a colleague, "Why is he treating her like that? She's just a teacher." The words fall into the air, heavy with the question of why such treatment is happening. Alicia, the calm in the storm, remains still, as if she's heard this before, this undercurrent of disbelief that others, too, can see the injustice. Bystander 2, hesitating, yet it doesn't make sense. What did she do? The murmurs ripple through the small crowd, quiet but intentional. The shift in perception begins here, in the smallest of moments. They start questioning. And even though they don't speak up, even though they don't step forward, their discomfort is loud enough to chip away at Officer Cole's foundation. They are not speaking, but they are unsettling his control. Another bystander shifts their weight, a glance exchange, but still no one steps in. The tension in the crowd grows. The power dynamics are shifting, not with shouts, but with quiet resistance. The silent witness becomes a force of change. The system is cracking, and those who once supported it are starting to question just by standing there. Officer Cole stands rigidly, his hands hovering at his belt, eyes locked on Alicia. He should be in control. He's the one with the badge, the power. But there's something about her stillness, the way she stands so composed, calm. He's used to seeing fear, compliance, even submission in the people he faces. But not her. He takes a small step closer, hoping to intimidate her with proximity, but Alicia doesn't flinch. It's as if she isn't afraid, and that makes him uncomfortable. His mind races, scanning her, the way she holds herself, the quiet strength in her gaze. There's something familiar about her name, but he can't place it. His brow furrows. He can't make sense of it. Officer Cole's internal voice. Who does she think she is? Why isn't she reacting like everyone else? His grip tightens on the radio on his belt, but the words don't come out. Doubt creeps in. He looks at the bystanders. They're watching him, and then his eyes flick back to Alicia, still calm, still unwavering. His confidence starts to crack. Officer Cole's inner voice. She's not just another black woman I can push around. She's different. Why? The thought sends a ripple of unease through him. Something he hasn't felt in a long time. His biases, once the foundation of his authority, suddenly seem unreliable, shaken by the woman standing before him. He spent years believing that his authority is untouchable, that he controls the narrative. But Alicia's quiet challenge is disrupting that certainty, and it's happening right in front of everyone. The internal collapse isn't immediate. It's slow, painful, like a crack that spreads from within. He tries to regain control, but his posture shifts, his shoulders no longer as firm as before. He's unraveling, and he knows it. The world around him continues, but in his mind, everything is spinning. Alicia's gaze remains locked on Officer Cole, unyielding and calm. The world around them fades, leaving only the weight of the moment between them. Her hand, still holding her purse, doesn't shake. Her breath is steady. Inwardly, her thoughts run, each one a quiet declaration. Alicia's inner voice. He's used to people flinching, to people defending themselves. I won't give him that satisfaction. Her focus sharpens as Officer Cole shifts uncomfortably under her gaze, his earlier certainty beginning to falter. She can feel his eyes darting between her and the small crowd that watches in tense silence. They all expect her to speak, to react, to become the stereotype he's painted her to be. But she won't. In this silence, Alicia finds her strength. It's not in shouting, not in fighting back with force. It's in the quiet control she exudes, in the way she refuses to let his power define her. She holds herself steady, unmoved. The tension builds, but Alicia doesn't shift, doesn't even twitch in the face of his mounting frustration. Her quiet defiance is far stronger than anything he can throw at her. She remains still, the words unspoken but loud. Her control is a defiance. Alicia's inner voice again. This moment doesn't need noise. The truth is louder than any confrontation could ever be. The scene is almost suffocating in its silence. The bystanders feel it, too. The energy has shifted, not with shouts, not with confrontation, but with the power of dignity. Alicia isn't just some woman standing her ground. She's a force in this moment, and Officer Cole knows it. He's losing control, and she's steadily, quietly, taking it from him. The tension in the air is palpable as Alicia stands firm, her presence a quiet rebellion. Officer Cole, still reeling from her defiance, glances nervously at the bystanders, his mind racing. But it's not just the crowd that's unsettled. It's the unspoken silence of his colleagues standing nearby, watching without moving. Alicia's eyes flick to the uniformed officers, but they avoid her gaze, their expressions unreadable. They're not intervening. They're not speaking up. They're letting it happen. The silence of the crowd feels heavy, but it's the silence of the police officers that weighs the most. They see what's happening. They know what's wrong, but nothing changes. The system is in place, and they have been trained to look away when it's someone like Alicia, someone different, being wronged. Officer Cole's inner voice. They won't speak up. They never do. They never care. Why should I care? I'm just doing my job. She's not like them. She doesn't get it. She's the one in the wrong, not me. As he continues to try and regain his composure, his colleagues remain passive. One officer, standing just feet away, shifts his weight uncomfortably, but he doesn't speak. The others look at each other, exchanging glances but saying nothing. The system protects itself, quietly. Their silence is a form of complicity, an unspoken agreement to uphold the status quo. Alicia's inner voice. They all know. They've seen it. They just don't care enough to act. They let it happen every time. Alicia's quiet defiance, her refusal to bend, exposes the cracks in the system. Officer Cole is the face of it, but his colleagues are the ones who allow it to continue. The institutional racism is suffocating, breathed in the silence of the bystanders who choose to protect the power, instead of standing against it. The system thrives because no one speaks out, and everyone looks away. Alicia stands still, the stillness in her posture holding a power that Officer Cole is only beginning to recognize. She slowly opens her wallet, pulling out her ID, but as her fingers brush the edge of the card, something else slips free, a photo tucked into the inside. It's small, but it's enough. Officer Cole's eyes flick to the photo, then back to her face, a quick, almost unconscious glance. He sees the name, Alicia Harper. The flicker of recognition doesn't hit him all at once. He hesitates, his focus shifting between the photo and her eyes, unsure of what it means. His hand stiffens on his belt, but his body betrays him, uncertainty creeping into his stance. Alicia's name, the weight of it, stirs something in his chest, something unsettling. He tries to push it away, but it lingers. Officer Cole's inner voice. Wait, who is she? That name. Why do I know it? His mind races, the dots connecting but not quite forming the full picture. Her calmness, her quiet strength, the way she commands the space. Her name means something more than he thought. She isn't just anyone. But it's too late now. The realization is too slow, and in the quiet of the moment, his confidence begins to fray at the edges. He opens his mouth, but the words don't come. There's no authority left in his voice, just the soft breath of a man losing his grip. Alicia's inner voice. He doesn't know. He doesn't get it, but he will soon. The power shift isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's a quiet unveiling. From the image in her wallet to the small crack in Officer Cole's confidence, the shift is subtle but unmistakable. Alicia is no longer just a woman he's trying to control. She's someone with authority, with power, with a reputation. And now, in the silence, he realizes that he's not in control. Alicia's gaze remains unwavering. She knows what's happening. She knows he's beginning to see. The moment is quiet, but the change is monumental. The next morning, Alicia's calm defiance has already made headlines. News outlets flash her face across the screen, showing the standoff in the parking lot, a moment of quiet rebellion in the face of unchecked authority. Her words, her presence, reverberate to the media like a ripple, growing in intensity as the story spreads. Reporter on TV. In a dramatic confrontation yesterday, Alicia Harper, a local teacher, refused to comply with an officer's demand for identification, challenging the abuse of power with remarkable calm. The encounter has ignited a nationwide conversation about racial profiling and police authority. Alicia's face is everywhere now, on TV screens, on social media feeds. Her name, once a quiet whisper in the system, now dominates conversations. The video of her standing still, of her facing down Officer Cole with nothing but quiet strength, is shared, reposted, discussed. People begin to listen, and more importantly, they begin to question. Social media post, user comment, she didn't yell. She didn't fight back. She just stood there, and I couldn't look away. How many times have we let this happen? The narrative shifts. People are talking. For the first time, they see the injustice, not in grand confrontations, not in loud protests, but in the subtle, everyday moment of power being misused, of a woman's quiet refusal to accept that injustice. The camera pans across homes, TVs flicking to footage. People watching with mixed emotions. Guilt, realization, and shame begin to settle into their minds. A shift is happening, slow but undeniable. The screen flashes to Alicia's still, calm face, a symbol now, one that calls for reflection. In the quiet aftermath, as the world takes a deep breath, the ripple she's created is undeniable. The public begins to confront their own complicity, their own silence in allowing this injustice to persist. Alicia's challenge has sparked something more than outrage. It's sparked reflection. Change is stirring, and it's happening quietly, just like Alicia. The room quiets, the air thick with anticipation. The press conference begins, but there's an undercurrent of tension, something unspoken. Alicia steps up to the podium, her composed demeanor as steady as ever. She's always been quiet, reserved, but today there's something different about her presence. Her calm is its own kind of power, and the room feels it as she begins to speak. Alicia, I've spent much of my life trying to teach, to give a voice to those who don't always have one. The camera pans across the crowd. The reporters, the officials, the members of the public who have gathered, all waiting for something more. The tension is electric. Then, as Alicia continues, a subtle shift occurs. The crowd leans in, their focus sharpening. Alicia, but today, I stand before you not just as a teacher, but as someone who has worked with the Department of Justice, a judge dedicated to fighting systemic injustice. A beat, then another. A collective gasp echoes through the room. The realization hits. Judge Alicia Harper, the woman they thought was just another quiet educator, is now revealed as one of the leading figures in civil rights law, an advocate, a force. The room goes still. The weight of the moment is undeniable. The camera zooms on the faces of the crowd, disbelief, awe, and something deeper, recognition. They see her now, not just as a teacher they once knew, but as someone who has shaped the legal landscape, who has fought for change from a place of power. The viral storm is immediate. News outlets pick up on the revelation, broadcasting her story to the world. Alicia's name, once whispered in academic circles, now echoes through the airwaves. The discrepancy between the quiet woman they thought they knew and the civil rights champion she truly is begins to settle in, leaving the crowd confront their own assumptions. The news breaks like a tidal wave. Alicia's name floods across every headline, every news feed. The world watches, captivated by the revelation of her identity, Not just a teacher, but Judge Alicia Harper, a key figure in civil rights law, with deep ties to the Department of Justice. Her face is everywhere now, on TV screens, on social media, plastered across newspapers. The quiet educator who once stood in front of classrooms now stands as the loud voice of justice. Reporter on TV, Alicia Harper, a respected educator, is revealed to be a driving force behind the Department of Justice's most high-profile cases against police corruption. The camera zooms in on the face of a reporter, eyes wide with awe, reading from the teleprompter as the words fall heavily in the air. Alicia's words, once contained in a classroom, are now echoing nationwide. The news clips show her calm defiance, the viral video of her standing face-to-face with Officer Cole, a moment of stillness, a single line spoken that turned the world upside down. Social media post, #trending, this is what strength looks like. Alicia Harper is a hero. #justice through restraint, #Alicia Harper. The media frenzy is swift, relentless. Peers who once overlooked her, who dismissed her quiet demeanor as meek or passive, now find themselves forced to reckon with the power that was always beneath the surface. They had underestimated her. Now, they can't ignore her. Her quiet resilience has transformed into an unstoppable force for justice, and the world is watching unfold. What started as a small moment of defiance has now ignited a movement. The story spreads, and Alicia, once an unnoticed underdog, has become the face of revolution, a symbol of how quickly the truth can rise when given the chance to speak. The courtroom is tense, the air thick with anticipation. Officer Cole stands at the defendant's table, his posture stiff, eyes darting nervously toward Alicia. He had once walked into rooms like this with the confidence of a man who had nothing to fear. But today, his once firm demeanor is slipping, his shoulders hunched, hands fidgeting with the papers in front of him. Alicia sits across from him, still calm, an almost imperceptible air of quiet authority surrounding her. Her gaze never wavers, a stark contrast to Cole's growing unease. He shifts in his seat, trying to make himself appear composed, but every movement betrays the turmoil inside him. The arrogance he once held so easily is now a distant memory. Officer Cole, voice shaking. I was just following orders, you see? It was part of the procedure. I did what I had to do. The words stumble out, disjointed, weak. His usual commanding tone has vanished, replaced by a defensive murmur. The audience can feel it, his unraveling. They'd seen him before, the man who never questioned his authority, the one who believed his actions were justified. But now, in the face of Alicia's steady gaze and the overwhelming evidence stacked against him, his confidence is crumbling. Officer Cole, defensively, I was just doing my job, okay? This wasn't about race. It was just part of the process. Alicia's presence remains undisturbed. She doesn't need to speak. The silence between them speaks volumes. She's not reacting, not even flinching. She doesn't need to. Her calmness exposes him for what he is. A man who thought he could never be challenged, now caught in the collapse of his own arrogance. As the courtroom watches, even those who once supported him are starting to hesitate, unsure now if they can stand behind this man. The power has shifted, and with each shaky word he speaks, Officer Cole's once firm control slips further away. The courtroom grows still as Alicia rises from her seat, the eyes of everyone in the room fixed on her. She doesn't rush. The room is heavy with the unspoken tension, but Alicia remains unfazed, her movements deliberate, her calmness a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding around her. She steps to the stand, and the weight of her presence is immediate. The silence deepens, not out of fear, but respect, the kind of respect that is earned without a single shout. She takes a breath and faces the judge, the jury, and Officer Cole, who stand across from her, now visibly on edge. Alicia calmly, firmly. When we allow prejudice to decide who is safe and who isn't, we are complicit in the breakdown of justice. Her words aren't loud, but they are sharp, each one cutting through the room with surgical precision. The simplicity of her statement lands like a thunderclap, reverberating off the walls. The air shifts. Her voice, steady and sure, doesn't need to rise in volume to command the space. It's the weight of truth, the quiet, undeniable truth, that shifts the room. Alicia, softly but decisively, and today we are faced with the consequences of that complicity. The cameras flash, capturing the moment as Alicia speaks not with anger or desperation, but with measured authority. She doesn't need to shout to make her point. Her calmness is her weapon, and it's more effective than any roar. Officer Cole stands motionless, his mouth opening, but not finding the words to counteract her. Alicia's voice continues, steady, as she delivers justice, not just for herself, but for the countless others silenced by systems like this. The room is hushed, not just by her words, but by the power of her restraint, the weight of justice delivered not through force, but through unshakable, quiet resolve. Officer Cole stands rigid, his face pale, eyes flicking nervously between Alicia and the jury. His once confident posture is gone, replaced by a man trying to hold on to a crumbling facade. He opens his mouth, but the words feel hollow. The confidence he once wielded so easily is slipping away, unraveling with each syllable. Officer Cole defensively, almost pleading, "I was just doing my job, okay? You have to understand, I had to." The words trail off, a weak attempt to justify his actions, to cling to the authority he once believed was his right. But in the courtroom, his words fall flat, like stones sinking into a vast, empty silence. The scrutiny from the jury is palpable, their eyes heavy with judgment. Even his colleagues, once supportive, are now starting to shift uncomfortably in their seats, unwilling to back him any longer. Alicia's gaze is unwavering, calm, her presence a quiet counterpoint to his unraveling defense. She doesn't speak, but the weight of her silence presses down on him. Her composed defiance has turned the tables. The power dynamic has shifted, and it's as if Cole can feel the last of his control slipping away, dissolving into the air with every passing moment. He knows the truth is out. He knows the lies can no longer hold him up. Officer Cole, more quietly, defeated, "I was just following orders. I had no choice." His voice wavers, barely a whisper now, and the courtroom's air thickens with his guilt. There's nothing more he can say. Alicia's righteousness has already done its work. The room no longer looks to Cole as the authority figure. Their eyes are now on Alicia, the calm, resolute woman who has already won this battle without needing to raise her voice. The shift is complete. Officer Cole, once so sure of his power, is now exposed, his arrogance shattered. And Alicia stands as the undeniable force of justice in the room. Alicia stands at the witness stand, her voice steady, but the weight of her words cuts through the air. Her testimony is deliberate, measured, as she describes the systematic failures of the police force, the subtle and insidious racism that has been allowed to flourish under the guise of justice. She doesn't raise her voice, but the clarity of her words fills the room, each one a nail in the coffin of the system that has long shielded officers like Cole. Alicia, the system was designed to protect those in power. But those who are supposed to enforce justice are often the ones who perpetuate the harm. It's not just a few bad apples. It's the entire orchard. Her eyes sweep across the courtroom, landing briefly on the faces of the officers in attendance. They know. They feel the shift in the room, the discomfort settling in. The shield of protection that once cloaked their actions is beginning to dissolve, exposed to what it truly is, a massive privilege, protecting the few at the expense of the many. Alicia, this isn't about one officer or one case. It's about a system that has been allowed to thrive unchecked, a system that has protected the guilty while silencing the voices of those who suffer. The audience, once silent and passive, starts to stir. Their loyalty begins to waver, the cracks in their trust in the institution becoming more apparent with each word Alicia speaks. The realization dawns slowly, almost imperceptibly, but it's there. The system they believed in is broken. The collapse of the system isn't dramatic. There are no loud shouts or angry confrontations. Instead, it happens quietly, like a slow unraveling that only those willing to see can recognize. Alicia's calm presence forces him to confront the truth, and in that moment, the entire foundation begins to shift. Alicia's words linger in the air long after her testimony ends, her calm, steady voice still echoing in the minds of everyone in the courtroom. Her truth has been spoken, and the silence that follows isn't just a pause in the trial. It's a moment of reflection, a moment where the foundation of what people thought they knew begins to crack. Outside the courtroom, the ripple effect begins to spread. News anchors repeat her testimony on television screens, each word gaining weight with every broadcast. The story reaches homes, workplaces, and classrooms across the country. People gather in small groups, whispering about what they've seen, what they've heard, the quiet force of Alicia's message beginning to sink in. They've been confronted with something they can no longer ignore. Bystander 1, softly, to a coworker, "I never thought about it like that. I always thought it was just a few bad apples. But now it feels different." Bystander 2, nodding, hesitant, "She's right. It's bigger than just one officer. The whole system is broken." The conversations are hushed, unsure, but they are happening. The public is shifting, slowly, as Alicia's testimony has planted a seed of doubt. It's not a loud revolution, not yet, but it's happening. People begin to question the institutions they once trusted implicitly, the ones they thought were designed to protect and serve. Alicia's voice has pierced that veil of complacency, forcing people to ask uncomfortable questions about race, power, and justice. Across social media, hashtags emerge, not just in support of Alicia, but in recognition of the deeper issues she's unearthed. The conversations are quieter now, but the movement is no longer just about one woman's courage. It's about a collective reckoning, a slow but undeniable shift in how authority, race, and justice are understood, one that begins with a single voice, strong and unyielding. The headlines flash across the screens. Alicia Harper, hero or villain? The media storm that has erupted in the wake of her victory is as relentless as it is divisive. On one side, Alicia is hailed as a champion of justice, the woman who stood firm in the face of authority and exposed a deep-seated corruption within the police force. News outlets applaud her courage, calling her a beacon for reform. The sound bites play on a loop, her calm defiance, her unshakable poise in the courtroom. But not everyone is celebrating. Anchor on TV. But how could a high-ranking officer like Officer Cole, once a trusted member of the force, fall so far from grace? Was he truly a victim of a system, or was this just a case of a rogue cop? The skepticism is palpable. In homes, offices, and cafes, people debate fiercely. Some question Alicia's methods, wondering if her approach has painted all officers with the same brush. They argue about the complexities of race, authority, and the broken system that protects the powerful. The debates intensify, but beneath the surface, there's something more insidious, a deep cynicism. Some call for change, but others are too entrenched in the status quo, unwilling to acknowledge the systemic flaws Alicia has brought to light. Alicia watches from the sidelines, her face unreadable, as the storm swirls around her. She knows this isn't the end, but the beginning. The real work is only just starting. The room is quiet, save for the soft hum of the TV. Officer Cole sits alone, his back slumped in a worn-out chair, eyes glued to the screen. His once proud career is now on display for all to see, a series of headlines flashing across the screen, each one a reminder of his disgrace. TV anchor, on screen, Officer Cole, once a respected member of the force, now facing public shame and the collapse of his career. Allegations of racial misconduct have shaken the foundation of the department. The words sting. The weight of it all presses down on him, and he runs a hand over his face, his palms scraping against the stubble that's begun to form. He looks down at his phone. The screen lights up with missed calls and messages from his daughter, reminders of the life he's lost. His finger hovers over the screen, but he doesn't respond. It feels like everything is slipping through his fingers. Phone buzzes again. "Dad, we need to talk. Please." He stares at the message, but the words blur together. His chest tightens, and the room feels smaller, darker. The power he once wielded feels like a distant memory now. He thought he was untouchable, that the rules didn't apply to him. But the truth has a way of breaking through, slowly, quietly, relentlessly. The silence is deafening now. There's no anger, no explosion, just the quiet devastation of a man left in the shadows, alone with his regret. Alicia walks down the dimly lit hallway of the school, the sound of her footsteps echoing against the empty lockers. Each step a quiet reminder of the battles she's fought. The walls are lined with familiar faces, the names of students she's taught over the years. Her fingers brush gently against the plaques, her touch lingering for a moment on each name, a silent acknowledgement of the lives she's touched, the mind she's shaped, and the quiet resilience that has guided her through it all. The weight of her journey, the years of fighting for respect, the systemic barriers she's faced, and the victory in court presses down on her heart. It's not a physical weight, but an emotional one, a burden she carries in silence. The classroom is where she found her voice, but today, it's the halls that echo her quiet strength. She stops in front of the classroom door, her hand resting on the handle. In her mind, a steady voice speaks, Alicia's inner voice. It's not about being loud or violent. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stand still, let the truth show itself, and wait. The victory wasn't the loud applause or the headlines. It wasn't in the confrontation. It was in the quiet moments. The silent refusal to bend, the quiet courage to stand firm when everything around you says to fall. Alicia doesn't need the world to celebrate her. She knows what she has done, and that's enough. The camera follows Alicia as she walks out of the school building, the doors closing softly behind her. Her steps are steady, purposeful, each one carrying the weight of everything she's been through. There's no rush in her movement, just a quiet confidence, a silent understanding of what she has achieved and what is yet to come. Her shoulders are square, her head held high, but there's no boastfulness in her posture. She carries herself with a quiet dignity, and even though she's walking toward an uncertain future, there's no fear in her step. The world feels a little quieter in her presence, as if the noise of the outside world has been muffled by the strength of her resolve. Alicia's inner voice. This is just a beginning. The fight for justice doesn't end here. It's not a destination. It's a path I will keep walking. Alicia's journey has never been about the applause or the recognition. It's about something deeper. The quiet power of change, the lasting impact of integrity in a world that often rewards noise over truth. She knows that what she's done, what she stood for, will resonate far beyond this moment. The camera pulls back, fading to black as Alicia disappears into the distance. The world is changing, and Alicia's mark is permanent. It's a mark on the system, on those who stood by in silence, and on Officer Cole, whose life is now forever altered by the quiet strength of a woman who refused to be ignored. The camera lingers on Alicia as she walks away from the school, her figure gradually disappearing into the distance. The scene is bathed in soft light, quiet and reflective, as if the world itself is taking a breath with her. Her journey isn't over, but in this moment, she has already shifted the tide. The legacy she leaves will not be measured by loud victories or public confrontations, but by the quiet resilience she displayed, a revolution in stillness, the kind that resonates long after the moment has passed. In a news interview, Alicia's calm voice cuts through the noise. Alicia, justice doesn't scream. It whispers, and sometimes we need to listen. Her words hang in the air, simple yet profound. This is her legacy, a reminder that in a world that often overlooks quiet strength, it is, at times, the most powerful force for change.